My name is Bradley Bewkes. I am the co-chair of the 19th Charter Revision. I am a representative of District 1 on the Board of Representatives for the City of Stamford, and also serve as the Deputy Minority Leader, the Chair of the Land Use Committee, as well as I'm a member of the Appointments Committee and the Parks and Recreation Committee on the board. The Charter is the foundation of law in the City of Stamford. It is our governing document that is decided by the people of the city. And every 10 years, we are required to look at the charter and make revisions that make it up to date with what is going on in the city. And at the end of the process, people like you get to vote on those revisions. The charter revision process started with the Board of Reps choosing a charter revision committee, which I am the co-chair. And the first directive of the committee was to look out into the community and choose people who had wanted to be on the Charter Revision Commission. That is the 19th Charter Revision Commission. So we asked everyone to submit applications. We got over 60 of them from all areas of the city, from all different types of people, from all different races, all different ethnicities, all different disability statuses, all different languages spoken, all different walks of life, careers, histories. People from everywhere applied to be on the commission. And so the committee then made recommendations to the full Board of Representatives, the 31st Board of Representatives, and the Board of Representatives chose the 15 members of the commission. The next charge for the Board of Representatives was to figure out what the Charter Revision Commission would look at as far as revisions. And again, we went to the public, people like you, and we asked, what do you think should be changed about our current city charter? And we got 180 pages of suggestions from city officials, from people in the community, from former mayors, from former corporation councils, from people from all over the city who work in the city, live in the city, traverse through the city, have businesses in the city, just moved here, have lived here for their entire lives. We got all kinds of recommendations, and all of those went into a single charge to the Charter Revision Commission, which then worked for almost 18 months on forming the revisions that are proposed and in front of you today. The other type of change was there was some substantive changes that affect a little bit more broadly how our government functions. And those included some around the appointments process, which was a little broken and allowed for a loophole that allowed people to have expired positions for basically eternity. There was a substantive change that had to do with the legal counsel for the Board of Reps, which was a very tough procedure that the Board of Reps had to follow to get their own legal counsel. And there were a couple of additions, such as new commissions. There was an ADA and DEI commission formed, a housing commission formed, and a mental health commission. Overall, these substantive changes will make our government more accountable and more transparent for the residents that live and work and engage with the city. The Board of Representatives, the legislative body, doesn't have access to its own independent counsel. In fact, almost all of the other cities have access to their own legal counsel, except for Bridgeport. And look at how that has ended up with Bridgeport. The appointments process is a little broken because currently an expired position can stay on indefinitely. And there are certain very important boards and commissions that have expired members on them that the mayor refuses to replace. And currently our charter allows that to happen. So we have a member of the zoning board, which is 6 years expired, and several other members of the zoning and planning boards, which oversee over $20 billion of Stamford real estate value, that are expired. And these are majorly important commissions and boards that help the city run and function efficiently. And the city is dynamic, it is changing, and the positions in these boards and commissions need to change with a changing city. They need people like you to come and volunteer. And when expired positions stay on for this long, no one else is allowed in these positions. And in some cases, the positions have actually been voted against by the Board of Representatives, but they can still stay there. So this is a real problem with the appointments process. And you'll hear this being called a power grab. And in fact, it's really the opposite of a power grab. The charter revision changes are actually giving the mayor more time to find and fill these appointments. And what they do is they close the loophole that allows for the expired positions. But that's not a power grab, that's changing something that is just a fault in our charter. So why is it important that the Board of Representatives in general gets access to submit more candidates for the appointments process? Well, there are hundreds of open positions that have not been filled. And the Board of Representatives, who are the closest to the people elect the representatives in their district, they know the people the best. And it makes sense for them to be able to submit candidates to be part of the process for boards and commissions. So one of the issues with how the current charter is structured, with the planning and zoning boards having expired positions, is that these expired positions end up with corruption. There are people serving on those boards that are serving after 6 years of their position being expired. That means there's less accountability to those people. With the new revisions, those people have to go back through the process where they're re-interviewed by the administration, and then they're submitted to the Board of Representatives for approval. If people are making bad decisions, but they're in expired positions indefinitely, then there is no accountability. They don't go through the process again. So what the revisions do is really offer the accountability for all positions in the city of Stamford, all of the volunteer positions, to go through the process again. The Charter Revision Commission's changes will actually foster more development in the city of Stamford. There will be more accountability for what is being done and how money is spent, generally speaking, in our city. This will actually open up more funds for the city to direct towards affordable housing. And you'll hear opponents saying there's going to be less affordable housing because of the changes. And that's innately false. There will be more affordable housing because of the changes. When more people are involved in the process and more oversight is had over our budgetary process, which is something that the Charter Revision addresses directly, then there's extra money to be spent on the necessary deeply affordable housing that the city needs so badly. There's real fear-mongering happening where people are saying that your taxes are going to go up because of the Charter Revision. And that is just simply not true. The administration sets the operating budget, and the Board of Finance eventually sets the mill rate, which is what directs what property tax people pay. The Charter Revision is not involved in that process at all. There is no extra layers of bureaucracy that will raise your taxes. Anything that was proposed by the Charter Revision Commission was either new volunteer boards and commissions or a reworking of processes, for instance, with our budgeting process. So there are no extra taxes that will be had on the people of the city of Stamford for really any reason. Taxes are charged when the administration makes the budget higher. In the last 10 years, 30% increase has happened in the city of Stamford's budget. Your taxes are being raised because the overdevelopment of the city has caused our operating budget to balloon over 30% to almost $650 million. When I started on this board 6 years ago, it was $400 and something million. So it is increasing with the overdevelopment. The changes that are proposed that you'll see on the ballot on November 7th have nothing to do with raising your taxes. Absolutely nothing. And they rework our budgetary system so that there's actually more room to save money. The changes in the Charter Revision will actually save you money. Another thing that is very worrisome about what the opposition is saying is that this is a big power grab. And it's important to remember that these are all volunteers that are doing this process. There is no power to grab. The people who are saying that it's a power grab are those people that may have financial stake in some of the businesses that are fueling the overdevelopment of Stamford. And the people that are being claimed to want to grab the power, myself included, are simply volunteers. We're not real estate developers. We're not paid anything. We don't even get a parking spot at City Hall. We get nothing. We're literally volunteers. There is no power to grab. So the opposition to the Charter Revision changes will also tell you that this was all done in secret and behind closed doors, which this is a very public process that is all online. Thousands of hours of work have gone into this. They're all public meetings, all on video. Many public information sessions happened, many interviews with the public. Many people were involved in the process. And what happened in Hartford was exactly the opposite of that. special interests went and usurped the process well underway as the Charter Revision Commission was submitting their proposed changes to the Board of Representatives. A special provision in the state bonding bill, which is a very important bill. This is how Connecticut funds many things. A special provision that had nothing to do with bonding, but that specifically stated that the charter revision could not address certain issues related to petitions and zoning and eminent domain, was stripped away from the people like you who could vote on those proposed changes in November. And this is what people are calling a rat. You might hear the term rat bill, rat law, rat legislation. This is what people are saying. And in other towns, this happened too. And what a rat does is it is slipped into a very large bill. In this case, it was a multi-100-page bill that was being voted on at the very last minute of the legislative session. And our own representatives didn't know about it. Our own city government didn't know about it. Almost no one knew that this was happening who was voting on it there at Hartford or here in Stamford. And no one was told even weeks after the process. So why is that important? Because during those several weeks that no one knew about it, volunteers continued to work on these really important matters from the Board of Representatives, from the Charter Revision Commission. We were paying attorneys. This is taking advantage of volunteers in our city. And this is how the special interests work. They work in secrecy, in privacy. They work directly with their friends and don't tell the public. There was no long discussion about that provision on the floor. There was no public forum about that provision on the floor. There was no input from anybody except a few special interests and a few people in the dark of night that added this. So when you hear the opposition saying that the process for the changes was done in secrecy and the process is twisted, it is exactly the opposite. Those same people went, those special interests went in secrecy and usurped that process. And some people may say that this is courageous. We've heard people saying that that's courageous. Well, I define courageous as when you go in front of a whole body of people and you speak the truth. You speak what's on your mind. You tell them what you're going to do and what your intentions are. And you get their involvement and you let people know what you think is right, and you let them tell you if they think that that's right or not, especially as an elected official. What is not courageous is things that happen in the dark of night. So you might be thinking to yourself, why do I see so many signs saying vote no? And frankly, I don't know, but I can take some guesses. And you look at the people that are fueled by a big government. You look at all of the people who are in the administration, the people who are fueled by overdevelopment, the consultants that are part of these processes, the special interest groups that are part of these processes. A lot of them have financial gain to make. That's really the only reason I can think of, because the Charter Revision Commission and the Board of Representatives are all volunteers and have no financial gain to make. So you can make your own assumptions about why you see so many people saying no, but when you really look into the changes, they help you. They help our community. They help Stamford. They help Stamford become more accountable. They help your government work better for you. And unless you personally also have a financial gain to make from loopholes in our system, then you should also vote yes. These changes that are proposed for this charter revision make our government more accountable, more transparent, and more democratic. If there is not transparency and there's not accountability, it makes it very easy for special interests to succeed. And those special interests are called special interests because they are not your interest. They are someone else's interest, usually someone who has a financial gain to make. And I have no problem with people making money. I'm a capitalist. But when people make money off the backs of the taxpayers and the people who are involved in the city, that's where I have a problem. Vote yes for more control over how your tax dollars are being spent.